Item number, SCP-003. Object Class, Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-003 is to be maintained at a constant temperature of no less than 35 degrees Celsius and ideally kept above 100 degrees Celsius. No living multicellular organisms of Category 4 or higher complexity may be allowed to come into contact with SCP-003. In event of total power failure, if SCP-0031 begins to increase its mass, assigned personnel must engage in skin contact with SCP-0031. Ideally, personnel may use their body heat to return SCP-0031 to above the critical temperature. However, skin contact must be maintained even in event of SCP-003 reaching activation temperature, lasting at minimum until SCP-0031 advances fully to its second growth stage. Personnel who enter SCP-03's containment area must first be examined for body parasites of Category 4 or higher complexity, and sterilized if such organisms are present. All personnel who have come in physical contact with SCP-0031 are to immediately report for sterilization afterwards. SCP-0031 must not be removed from SCP-0032 except in case of emergency procedures detailed above. Any significant change in SCP-32's rune activity, including pattern, frequency, or color, should be reported within 3 hours of occurrence. Cessation of rune activity must be reported immediately. SCP-0032 must be supplied with power via the source-designated generator 0039 at all times. Description: SCP-003 consists of two related components of separate origin, referred to as SCP-0031 and SCP-0032. SCP-0031 appears to be composed of chitin, hair, and nails of unknown biology, arranged in a configuration similar to that of a computer motherboard. Testing reveals SCP-0031 to predate earliest known circuit boards by a factor of thousands of years. SCP-0031 is considered sentient but not actively dangerous except under certain conditions. SCP-0031 was found on a stone tablet, SCP-0032, on which it currently resides. The runes on SCP-0032 are not part of any known language, and emit pale, flickering light patterns. SCP-0032 is controlled by a non-biological internal computer, the contents of which are mostly inaccessible without risk of damaging SCP-0032. SCP-0032 is capable of controlled emissions of radiation, including heat, light, and anomalous radiation types. SCP-0032 contains an internal power source of an anomalous nature, which appears to have been losing power since several centuries before discovery. It is considered probable that SCP-0032 was created for the purpose of containing SCP-0031. Partially interpreted data recovered from SCP-0032 may refer to a past and/or potential future LK-class restructuring event caused by SCP-0031. SCP-003 was located by Remote Viewing Team SRV-04 Beta. It appears possible that SRV-04 Beta was deliberately contacted by SCP-0032. Other organizations have also been alerted to SCP-03's existence, possibly by similar means. Despite this activity, SCP-0032 does not appear to be sentient based on its lack of reaction to MO3 Gloria analysis and procedures. When SCP-003 drops below the temperature of 35 degrees Celsius, both components react. First, SCP-0031 enters a growth state characterized by an exponential increase in mass. This growth state consists of two stages. In both stages, SCP-0031 partially fuels its growth by converting matter around it, starting with any surrounding inorganic material, including atmospheric elements, then non-living organic material, including cells of dead skin, hair, chitin, enamel, keratin, and other biological materials. The first stage is always the same. SCP-0031 will first increase its mass, then take a form similar in shape to an ophiuroid, brittle star, of 15 meters in diameter, including what appears to be a central processor of 3 meters in diameter. It will form sensory organs that appear to scan its surrounding environment, and will partially convert the area around it to an unidentified anomalous substance. SCP-0032 seems immune from conversion. The second stage describes a growth alteration which occurs when SCP-003 comes into contact with living organic material. SCP-003 appears to template itself off of the organic material, and will attempt communication with organisms that match its initial template, or templates. In its second stage, SCP-031 may pause, slow or change its growth, and will also convert inorganic and non-living organic elements into functionally similar structures while anomalously altering their physical makeup. While growth is consistent in the first stage, in the second stage SCP-31's growth rate is diminished by 20 to 90% so long as SCP-031 remains in contact with living organic material. The percentage is determined by the complexity of the organism in contact with SCP-031. SCP-031 appears to devote a large amount of processing power to analysis of living organic material. During each of SCP-31's growth stages, SCP-0032 releases bursts of radiation that temporarily inhibit SCP-31's growth, or reverse this growth when the temperature of SCP-0031 rises above 100 degrees Celsius. Similar radiation emissions have been replicated or recorded via other anomalous means. SCP-31's biology has been the subject of extensive study. Significant elements have been identified similar to SCP-redacted, SCP-1512, and SCP-2756, the latter two of which have no further confirmed connection with SCP-0031 and no known connection with each other, and none of which are fully understood, technically, even less understood than SCP-003, thanks to the extensive cross-disciplinary research on the SCP-003 objects. To date, no convincing analysis has been put forward which satisfactorily explains SCP-31's connection to these SCP objects or others, nor its connection to modern technology beyond appearance and potential mimicry via unknown mechanism. Addendum 003-01. Acting on information gathered from linguistic analysis of SCP-32's runes and comparative data analysis, research team M03 Gloria has managed to establish a link between SCP-003 and data expunged for analysis of functions. SCP-0031 must now be considered sentient, and is to be kept a minimum of 1 km from data expunged and the resulting byproduct at all times. Addendum 003-02. SCP-32's power loss has been exacerbated by the procedures performed by M03 Gloria. On orders of 0510, M03 Gloria will continue procedures. Addendum 003-03. During M03 Gloria procedures, SCP-0031 doubled its mass and began rapid structural growth. Temperature was immediately returned to 100 degrees Celsius. Growth and mass increase of SCP-0031 continued for 9 minutes and 6 seconds, at which time a sustained radiation spike was produced by SCP-0032. In response, SCP-0031 returned to its normal state in 3 minutes and 39 seconds. New growth dissolved into a dusty residue which was collected for analysis. Both SCP-0031 and SCP-0032 ceased all detectable activity. SCP-0032 did not resume activity until connected to external power source. SCP-32's runes glowed uniformly gray and did not resume normal activity for 3 hours. SCP-0032 no longer appears to be able to maintain containment area at a temperature above 35 degrees Celsius without external power supplied by generators 0033 through 0039. Addendum 003-04. The procedure detailed in Addendum 003-03 was repeated, and SCP-0031 again entered a growth state. After 10 minutes and 13 seconds, SCP-0032 once again produced a sustained radiation spike. SCP-31's growth stopped for 36 seconds, then resumed at its previous pace. On quadrupling its mass, SCP-0031 formed a coherent outer shell and body. After appearing to scan its environment and partially converting its environment, SCP-0031 then breached containment, entering the observation gallery where 9 members of M03 Gloria were present. On physical contact with team members, SCP-0031 encompassed them in rapidly grown appendages and stopped growth for 15 minutes. SCP-0031 then resumed growth, and rearranged the component parts of the center of its form to the shape of a 3-meter-tall female humanoid, with peripheral tentacles, shifting to extrude primarily from SCP-31's newly formed hair and spine. SCP-0031 then produced rudimentary vocalizations in an apparent initial attempt to communicate with researchers. Data expunged. An unknown individual approached the compromised containment area in company of a full squad of agents. The individual claimed to be acting on orders of 0510 and attempted communication with SCP-0031. Data expunged. Following this incident, Agent Jackson of MO3 Gloria successfully restored power to SCP-0032 and activated backup generators to return the temperature to 100 degrees Celsius. SCP-0031 returned to its normal state in 21 minutes and 7 seconds, and was successfully recontained without incident. All 9 members of MO3 Gloria affected by SCP-0031 were afterwards found to be physically unharmed, with no residual effects besides psychological trauma. The converted materials of SCP-03's former containment area did not dissolve and are now under analysis. Addendum 003-05. In light of the previous incident, 0510 was removed from the O5 Council by joint decision of O5REDACTED, O5REDACTED, and O5REDACTED. MO3 Gloria procedures have been indefinitely suspended. SCP-31's biology has been the subject of extensive study. Addendum 003-05. In light of the previous incident, O510 was removed from the O5 Council by joint decision of O5 Redacted, O5 Redacted, and O5 Redacted. MO3 Gloria procedures have been indefinitely suspended.